What's going on, everybody? Dylan Napoleon with Cageside Press, joined today by Lizzy Gevers. We met each other when she was training with Aline Pereira out in Salt Lake City. We just got back from that trip. I know I'm still acclimating, getting back into my normal flow, but your nickname is No Flow. So how are you doing? How's your flow going after this trip?
Well, it took a little adjustment. I just go from the whole fight preparing camp for PFL to training with Alini in Salt Lake City to Miami to MMA Masters. And I have to say, I just dig right back into training schedule, having the hours in the gym. And I have to say, it took a little adjustment for me to be, from there to there to there,
Hmm.
but I'm doing fine. And I really love what I do and traveling and meeting the people. So I cannot complain.
Yeah, of course. And man, we have a lot to talk about. Let's see what we can cover, but let's start with, what we both experienced down in Salt Lake City. Obviously, I was out there. I hadn't met you until the Karate Combat Week, but I was there when you were there for not as long as you were there for like a month, right?
No, no, no. I was there like 12 days.
Oh, it was,
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had went with them when they had originally gotten there.
Yeah.
Um,
No, 12 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were out there just about as long as I was. I was out there for
Yeah.
like 10 or 11. So yeah, it was a good trip. I mean, I really enjoyed Salt Lake. Obviously, first we saw Alex Pereira do his thing. You were with the team. You kind of saw it from a whole different angle. I want to talk to you about that. Like, let's start with this. You lived with them. You were in the house with them up in the mountains in Salt Lake City. What was the experience like, training and just being in the house with them as Alex and Alini prepared for such big moments?
Well, the first thing I have to say is that they were such kind and open, and it felt like really like a small family. It was the first time I met Alex and Plinio back
Hmm.
in April when I was training at the PI headquarters. Um, and then we exchanged, a little knowledge about judo and about kickboxing, and of course, I knew Yusri, which
Hmm.
is a Dutch guy on the team of Alex.
Yeah, the
And then
Netherlands.
they asked me like if I was okay with preparing Alini because her opponent in karate combat was a girl I just recently fought.
It's crazy how the world works.
Yeah, so they asked me like, "Are you down to come over to Salt Lake City, prepare Alini, train with us?" And of course, I was down for that, but I never ever expected to be so warm, welcoming as they did. They really took me like if we knew each other for years.
Hmm.
Um, and that's something I really appreciated. And I feel that's pretty rare when people get to a certain level of status. When they get like champions, they
Hmm.
keep their community like really small, and it's really hard to enter that community. But they were so kind and so nice, and they helped me. Of course, I was there to spar Alini, but at the same time, Alex and Plinio took their time to give me, some advice on my
Hmm.
kickboxing and small tips where I can work with. So, yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you how the whole like first time meeting, like how that whole thing worked, but it sounds like you had seen them at the PI, so that's super cool. I was wondering if they had like called you, just seen that maybe you fought D and stuff like that, but you actually had met them, you ran into them at the PI, which is that's actually super cool because then,
Yeah.
they knew that when this fight came about that you would be the one to call. So what were some of the things that you were able to take away from your fight against D that were, some of the biggest things that you think you were able to bring to the table for Alini, and maybe some of those things that you believe made a difference in her fight?
Well, of course, I fought D just like 3 months ago, so that's
Hmm.
fresh for
Fresh.
memory. Still know how was the girl that I fought, where were the gaps, what is her fighting style, what was her
Hmm.
plan, and me and Eileen seem like for posture like pretty the same. We're both
Yeah.
very tall. 125, have a long reach. Of course, I am from a judo background, and she is obviously amazing striker. So that's kind of a difference. But I think I took that experience with me and just we discussed the game plan, and I try to replicate these
Hmm.
fights out on our sparring sessions just to get Aline, familiar with the possibility of her takedown or running forward, how to keep her distance, and
Hmm.
how to keep their counter strikes in.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we all saw. It was actually what we have been training was exactly what she executed on the night of the fight, and
Yeah.
it worked out really well. I tried to be as helpful as I could, uh, not even like on the map, but besides the match, from girl to girl, like how you feeling, what do you need, some small talk.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, to be like mental support as well. And I think that's something that's really rare when you just meet,
Yeah.
we just meet each other, but it felt like we get along for a way longer time.
Hmm.
And um and that's something special. And then I realized that you don't have that with anyone, but I had that with that team, like from the beginning, and that's something that made it work, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I could say is obviously I'm from Connecticut just like them, and I see them at the gym here and there. I go over there to talk to some of the fighters when they have fights, and they're even to me they're always so welcoming. Like I think it's a lot of the culture that they brought up with by Glover and the team at Texture MMA is like it's everybody who's like that. It's a fantastic group of people to be around. But UFC 307 was a super special moment for the Pereira family, the Pereira team with Plino and everybody. That was a super cool moment. I know you were in the back. You greeted Alex, right? As soon as he got back
Yeah.
to the locker room. Did you were out in the stands though? You watched the fight and then you saw him when he came back. What was that like for you and being in that atmosphere? I know for me in Salt Lake City, the fans were wild. They made for a fun night, and it was that fight alone was super spectacular, very, very fun. What was it like being in the arena?
Yeah, it was like we knew what was going on. I know that Alex in the interview after the fight told the fans like, "Hey, this was a really important fight for me because my body was, I was injured here and there. I had
Hmm.
some problems, and we knew that before the fight.
Yeah,
So, of course, when you know that someone it doesn't feel good, and to become a champion, that's one thing, but to keep on being a champion time after time after time with very short noticed time in between where you can rest your body,
right.
uh, that's something that made it extra nervous for us. I was sitting next to Aline when the fight came, and even when the walkout was there, she already got like really emotional and really nervous. So besides that, you watch it from a different perspective because you actually know the person, you know what's going on, you know what it took to be there, and
Hmm.
you also sitting next to his sister where you
Yeah,
can feel the even more emotional bond. So you try to calm her, you try to watch, and then the fight started, and he just started with that
yeah,
body kick
that
that
was
didn't
scary.
execute so well. And
Hmm.
I think, shit, what if he loses? You have been in an environment where everybody was hyping, him, and everybody was hyping each other up.
Hmm.
But how will next week be if he can't win? Because we have to stay there for Aline
Yeah.
this week, and how will that affect on everyone, especially on her, with
Hmm.
coming up? So that was really nervous. And then when he came into that third and fourth round, that's when we knew, hey, we can see the change in his
He's finding
face.
himself.
Yes,
Yeah.
how he is fighting, and we knew because we know the style. We have seen it in the gym. He came into a flow state, and you
Hmm.
see that. Okay, now we're gonna see something special, and then when he finishes, this is when all the emotions came out. And we're like so happy. Me and Aline hugged each other and said like, "Yes, he won. That's so good." And she cried out of happiness.
Yeah.
And then we just wanted to see him. That's the first thing, we wanted to see him. And then we went like crazy in the arena asking like, how can we get to Alex Pereira? But of course people were like, girl, you cannot enter the locker room of Alex Pereira out of nowhere. So we had a little bit of trouble actually coming down
Hmm.
to meet him. The manager was coming to get us, and then when we finally came into the locker room, they were like celebrating. Glover, Plinio, they had a beer and they
Hmm.
had hands, and we came in, and then yeah, you hug him and you feel all the tension that was before the fight that comes off, and it's just a time for entertainment and enjoyment. And then I really was wondering like, how are they gonna celebrate, because you
Hmm.
don't know the team, are they going wild? But
Hmm.
it was actually so beautiful that we just ordered a bunch of way too much
I
pizza.
saw that. Yeah. Mhm.
That was too much. We
They were
ordered pizza.
huge.
They were huge, yeah. And well, the manager wanted to order five, and then Alex was yelling, "Hey, no, order 10. We're all hungry." So he
Hmm.
ordered 10. Didn't realize how big the pizzas were. So
Hmm.
actually saw them. We're like, oh my god, that's way too much. Um, we just been giving pizza away everywhere when we came. But I like the fact that we just got go to the house, be with everybody that is important to him,
Hmm.
and just celebrate in a small family.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, everybody
Way.
together, having a music on, eating some pizza, talking about
Hmm.
fight, having a dance
Hmm.
battle. So that was like really nice. And then, he went to sleep, and we all went back to our room, sleep. And then the next day we went for a lunch, and
Hmm.
that's it. Really quiet, really kind, really
Hmm.
family feeling.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, or I like that.
I'm always impressed by how many people Alex has with him at these fights. Like a lot of course, when you're the champ, you go into these big fights, you have a big team around you. You bring, all your training partners and stuff. But in terms of like family, the amount of just general people that are around him during these fight weeks, and I know how many people were in the house with you guys. Had to be like a dozen of you guys, no?
Yeah, it was really crowded. That was the reason, because I actually didn't sleep in the house. I had a hotel, because
Okay.
there were already people sleeping on the couch, sleeping on the
Hmm.
floor, putting an airbed. Um, so yeah, but I think that's also the beauty, because these people have been there since day one, and I
Hmm.
think that's what he's really appreciating about the guys that are around him. They were there when he wasn't a big champion, and that's what make you feel that, okay, they are just really there for me as a person, and not for me as the big champion. uh,
Superstar, yeah.
yeah, and I think that's something that sometimes is really hard, because I was there, with him for 2 weeks, but everywhere we go, there's like people wanting something from him, an autograph, a picture. They scream, they
Yeah.
yell. Everybody wants a piece of the big champion. And I think it's really good mentally to just have the people that see you as, you, for us, you're just Alex.
Hmm.
Oh, you're just like all the others, and
Hmm.
just like having fun, and keeping it low key. And I think
Yeah.
that's really helping him.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's insane where I see videos they when they mess with people and they tell people that Glover's so and so, like they did it a couple weeks ago and posted one. I think they've done a couple, but it's hilarious. I see everywhere they go, obviously when you're at the stardom of Alex, everywhere you go, there's someone who wants to like you said, get a picture, an autograph. But there's also for him, he does have a lot of people who do just appreciate him for who he is. That's something
Yeah,
very helpful to a fighter. When you guys got the victory, you know, everything, you had to translate that directly into Aline's fight week. You guys had no time in between, I'm sure
yeah,
she had to really just put the finishing touches on after that and start cutting weight and stuff like that. So how did you guys go about that? Was it like the next day just you guys were all in on Alini? There was really no time to like
yeah.
celebrate, if you will, just that night, right? So what were the next couple days after the fight like?
Well, it was actually already on the fight, the day of the fight of Alex. We were already like in the gym, and he was there, coaching me and his sister. And it was funny because actually the president of Karate Combat was there, and
Mhm.
it surprises him. So he said like, "Whoa, what are you doing here? You have
Yeah.
the biggest fight of your career so far tonight." And he said like, no, but it's not just about me, it's about everybody is equal on the team, and she has to fight next week as well, and that's just as important as my fight. So what are you doing on the day of the fight? Nothing. Rest on your bed. So I rather choose to be here and coach Lizzy and Aline and help them out. And that's actually how it went after his fight as well. It was like Saturday night. We just had because it was Aline, her birthday.
Oh
So we
yeah.
had the pizza, and she was just having a salad because she needed to cut the weight.
Yeah.
Then everybody went to bed. And the next morning, we just met up and just had training, and that's how the next week goes. It was like the focus went from Alex to Aline, and we just went on with the program we were still doing before.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really beautiful to see that how he puts effort and his knowledge into the fight of his sister as well, because I understand that for her it could be really hard to be in the shadow of your brother.
Yeah.
But I think Karate Combat gave her the opportunity to, step out of that shadow and be her own personality. And I think she deserves that because she is really a beautiful personality and really kind and warm person to be
Yeah.
around. Actually, a really great fighter herself. So, yeah, it's good that he just takes his position. And what actually was like a good choice and is that me and Plinio were with Alini backstage on the Karate Combat,
Yep.
and he just arrived like 1 hour before her fight
Yeah, I
because
remember. I was like,
yeah,
where is
because
Alex?
no, he knew that if he's gonna be there the whole time, he's gonna be the center of attention.
Yep.
And it's not about him, it's about her at that time.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's beautiful that they made the choice to just have me and Plinio doing the backstage stuff, getting our hands wrapped, doing the warming up, all those things. And then when it's time, yeah, he came and he coached and he stepped in, yes. But he knew that if he was earlier at the event, he
Yeah.
would, all over the center of attention and
Hmm.
would took away from her.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, it was only a week after, you know, it was or actually 6 days. It wasn't even a whole week. But that was the week where you guys were in the gym preparing, of course. That was when I was able to meet, or not, I didn't actually meet you the day that I was filming for Karate Combat, but I saw your style and I was like, wow, like it's amazing how good you guys were flowing together. It was impressive, to be honest. How did you feel like your style, and obviously you come from a judo background, but I was impressed with your striking. I'm not gonna lie, like
Yeah.
that to come from all judo and now obviously having to mix in the striking and being an MMA fighter, you really do have great striking. How did you feel like your striking and Alini's striking like complemented each other?
Well, I have to say that I'm from a judo background, but I have the luck to be born in the Netherlands. We all know that we have all these legends in the Netherlands who are
Hmm.
phenomenal kickboxers. I mean, we even have a style that's named after us, Dutch kickboxing. So yeah, when I decided like 7 years ago to make the transfer from judo to MMA, I had the luck to have my first kickboxing class with Jermaine Durandamy, Andy
Wow.
Samberg, Melvin Manhoef, all these legends. Um, I got to learn from them. So that's obviously how I picked up so quick. I realized I only have done this for 6 years. So sometimes you feel that maybe you are a little behind. But at this point in my career, I feel that I have enough knowledge and, they teach me enough and that complements when Alex and Plinio asked me in April, like, hey, we saw you training at the PI. Are you willing to come over as a sparring partner for Aline? And when one of the greatest champions and the greatest coaches is asking you that, it obviously means something. So I felt very flattered that they asked me. And yeah, my nickname is No Flow because if I go, I go. I am not about doing 20 or 50 or 80%. I'm always like 120%. So that's what my task was with Aline. I'm gonna prepare her by giving her the best version of myself. Of course, I know what I am doing, and that's what made us flow together so well because we both know what we were doing. You can train with each other without injuring each other, just really
Yeah.
have a eye. And we didn't go light on each other, but we didn't harm the one another. So I think that was a really important thing for her. Just like me, she doesn't have so much girls to train with in her own gym.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it's really nice to have someone around the same weight class, you know, a girl obviously to train with, and I think that's what made us, connect really good together. And yeah, there was not any harm or competitive side on
Hmm.
training. We just wanted to make each other the best version of ourselves. And of
Hmm.
course, I wanted to make her ready for the fight that was coming.
Yeah. I have two more questions about her fight week, and then of course I want to talk to you about your recent fights and stuff like that. But she put forth a very impressive performance. You said earlier how you guys were kind of working on a lot of things, one of those being capitalizing when her opponent D Begley would rush in and shoot in, and that's the way she finished her. That I mean, she
Yeah.
landed her biggest shots when D was kind of firing in real quick and finished her with that big left hook when D was coming forward. So when you were preparing her, was that what you envisioned? Was that what you were expecting to win by?
Yeah, yeah. I fought D, and she was doing the same thing with me. She kind of ran forward with a lot of punches, so that was something we talked about in camp.
Hmm.
I said she's gonna run forward. She is way smaller, and she is like a tank. She comes
Hmm.
forward running, and you have to have an answer on that.
Yep.
That's the moment. I was expecting her to strike, but to also maybe run forward and wanting to take a takedown because
Hmm.
she knows that Aline is a kickboxer. So it would have, yeah, obviously be a good game plan to
Right.
take her down, try from the ground and pound.
Hmm.
That's something we talked about and what we discussed. And of course, it's not my place to say how she needs to do that, but I could prepare her for saying that D is going to do that anyway. She going to run forward. And then it's Alex and Plinio who made the hook. That's what the family is doing, and that's
Mhm.
not my place to tell, like, how you should take her out. That's not my place in the team. But we obviously practice that. I mean, I think we even have videos on that she practiced the
I
hook.
bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And
timing
then,
was perfect.
yeah, we did it in the warm-up area. I think Plinio posted it on his Instagram that we did in the warm-up area. We did exactly that situation what happened in the fight.
Hmm.
And then you can see how good of a coach the team actually is, because they knew.
Yeah.
And, I just played my role. I just played the dummy, and I practiced the forward pace. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. When she got, or actually during the fight week, there was obviously Aline had a lot to live up to. There was a lot of hype because of her brother and stuff like that. She herself did a really good job of staying focused. I believe like she didn't really play into that type of stuff, but Dee Begley had a lot of things to say, whether it was at the press conference, the weigh-in, she stepped up on that box thing. Did she do any of that when you were fighting her, or was she more like calm and composed?
Yeah, actually, that surprised me a lot, because when I was fighting her, she was like very calm and composed and like almost friendly. I am not someone that needs hate to put on violence in a cage.
Hmm.
So if you see me, I'm always smiling, happy against my opponent. I never look angry. I'm always like, let's go. We both do what we love. But she was stepping up her game against Alini, like really like had a some trash talk before the
Hmm.
fight, and then the weigh-ins, and I was like, I never seen that from her.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe she tried to, get Aline a little emotional involved,
Yeah.
but she didn't care about it. She let herself. She was not letting herself distracted by any of that. So I think she did a really great job.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, Dee Beckley tried, and that's okay. I mean, we're in the fight business. It's part of the game. I think she sold the fight, but it
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. No, I was curious to see if that was something that she had done in previous fights or not, but I mean maybe obviously when you're fighting someone from that background, you do want to put forth the best performance, the best show, and I'm sure she was ready to do that, but when you're stepping in there with Alini, that's a different animal, you know. She
Yeah.
was that I was impressed by her performance. I know the whole world was, but the just being around her the whole fight week and then seeing her execute was very cool, and obviously we come from the same state, so I can't help but to want to see them do cool things and big things. You know, they've been very good to me, giving me a lot of opportunities at the gym. Glover's amazing. I see him whenever I go, and they're awesome people. Can't help but to want to see them do well. Now, one of the next things that I wanted to talk to you about, of course, is you as a fighter. There's a lot of cool things that you've been a part of the past couple months. Obviously, that whole camp, those 12 days in Salt Lake. Now you're in Miami. First of all, talk to me about what's going on in Miami. How long are you there? You know, who are you training with? Stuff like that.
Well, I plan to go to Miami, and then the invite came, so I combined it. But yeah, I'm here at MMA Masters. I had a little talk with Daniel before. Daniel is the head coach of MMA Masters, and he saw one of my previous fights, and he recognized my style because Daniel is a black belt judo as well,
Wow.
and he is an MMA coach right now. And well, he has a lot of champions, but one of them is Amanda Nunes. So yeah, he's really capable of making someone a champion. And he reached out to me and my manager saying that he recognized my fighting style and that he is willing to, train me and help me.
Wow.
Um, and I'm very grateful and very humble to my team in the Netherlands. But we also felt that maybe we wanted to see what my chances are of taking a fight in America and see if I can get like closer to American MMA and see what my chances are here.
Mm-hmm.
So we figured that this might be a good step in a good direction. So that's why I came here, and I'm here now for 1 week. But I'm very pleased with the way they teach and how they drill things and how they combine the judo style into
Mm-hmm.
wrestling, into MMA. Yeah, so I'm very curious to see how that will work out if I actually gonna fight here.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's very cool. You get a cool little what is almost 2 to 3 weeks here in the US. You get to go up into the mountains, which is totally different than to where you are now, right? You're on
yeah,
like beaches and palm trees and stuff like that. Um,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really like what I said in the beginning of the interview. You really had to adjust because I was sleeping in a good hotel, driving around in these nice cars, being around the superstar of the UFC and Aline, and then you sleep in a small room upstairs in the gym. So
Mhm.
that's a little adjustment, but it all has its own beauty.
That's
That's
right.
really nice. And I choose to be here. I don't have to be here. I wanted to be here. So then it feels all like a blessing. I'm here doing what I love, involving my game. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
That's awesome. Good for you. You're doing cool things and in two very cool places. I had never been to anything like Salt Lake. Now I've been to Florida a couple times, but Salt Lake was so different for me, even like being
Yeah.
from the US. What a place. Now, after you finish up in Miami, what's the plans?
So we are actually at this moment trying to see what is the chance that I can get a fight here. So
Okay.
that's the main goal, to see if we can find a promotion. My manager is really busy on that. As soon as we have news, I will drop it. But for now, the main goal is to try it out here in
Hmm.
MMA Masters, see if I can improve my game here, if I like it, if I can evolve as a fighter, as an MMA fighter. And if I like it, I might stay longer or come back. Of course, I want to be home for Christmas, but then
Hmm.
I will come back in January to have a new season here. So yeah, that's something that we it's actually all one of a big adventure, a big tryout.
Yeah.
um but one thing in the back of my mind is that I stay ready to fight. I just had 4 weeks ago, I had the position of the alternate at PFL Europe in Glasgow, and I was really ready to fight. You still hope someone drops out last minute, gets injured, or
Hmm.
whatever. And that didn't happen. So yeah, you feel that you did the whole camp, the whole preparation, but in the end, you didn't get satisfied because
Hmm.
you didn't have the fight. And you have two choices: or you completely fall back to doing nothing and eating and relaxing. But I had the choice to go right away to Salt Lake City, training there with Aline, now going right back into Miami. So I feel, hey, I am ready. I never
Hmm.
be unready. I never had my satisfying moment. So I'm really hoping that between now and the end of December, there comes an opportunity where I can actually show who I am as a fighter and
Hmm.
make a statement here in the United States.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna be tuning in when you get that fight. I'll
Yeah,
definitely be tuning into that. But for you, like this is has to be you obviously you've been wanting that sense of, victory and that just the opportunity to fight. But think about it now, you were ready back in for the Glasgow card, but now you have so much more like preparation, experience
yeah.
under your belt. You feel like you're more ready or just in better shape for a fight now than you may have for the Glasgow. Like I feel like maybe you unlock new levels just being around these people these experience that you had recently, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel that everywhere you go you're gonna pick up something, and it's your choice if you want to learn or you just want to keep doing what you're doing. And I feel that if you be around high level people, they're gonna lift you up,
You have to
and I
be
felt
lifted
that.
right now. You've been around
Yeah,
so many high level people.
yeah, and I think that was really the case. I was around high level people. I got to train with them. I got to spar with them. I got some, new tricks here and there,
Mhm.
new perspective on maybe the same old game. And I feel that that's something that no one is gonna take away from me. I
Yeah.
feel that I already was like ready to fight, but now I even got like more experience in the same backpack I was carrying, all along.
You're good at putting the words into phrases. I couldn't say that, but
Yeah,
getting it all into the backpack, that's a good way to put it.
yeah.
So I know you had that PFL fight back in June. You said you were the alternate for the one in Glasgow. Are you signed to the PFL right now?
Yes, I had a contract with them for 2 years,
Okay.
and that date is expiring this year. So we are still negotiating what's next, what we're gonna do, what is wise, which steps do we want to take. So, but at this point, I'm still in a contract with them. Yeah, so we are actually like kind of looking like what's next, when can we fight. I had a contract with them for 2 years. I had the permission to have two fights outside of the PFL.
Hmm.
One of them was against the Beckley in Spain,
Hmm.
and yeah, we still have that one opportunity open to take, and we're hoping to take that opportunity here in the United States.
There you go. So yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like what kind of promotion? So it doesn't have to be the PFL.
No, for at this point we had the permission because PFL does a good job. They want their fighters to keep active.
That's
And
nice.
yeah, at this point they can't serve me in that way, so they gave me the permission to be active outside of the PFL.
That's
So that's
great.
something what I really like about them, because it keeps me, it keeps me active, keeps me busy, even if they don't have the fight.
Yeah, I like that. Much respect. That's something great because you fighters deserve it. Obviously, there's not much going on with the PFL in Europe and stuff like that right now. So that's great that they don't make you wait until like the next season and stuff like that. They give you the
Yeah,
opportunity to fight somewhere else. You
yeah.
mentioned Yusri being kind of, from a similar background and stuff like that. I know he has a lot of experience in LFL. Would you ever consider fighting in LFL?
Well, LFL is a Dutch promotion. So yeah,
Not in the US, you're right. You
yeah, so
you
it's a
want
Dutch promotion,
Yeah.
and we're kind of looking to get my
Mhm.
name out of here in the States.
Mhm.
But never say never. I mean, it's a very nice promotion. They do a good job in the Netherlands. My coach is actually fighting next Sunday on that card.
Oh
So
yeah, that's cool.
yeah, yeah, they're doing a good job. So I don't say, oh no, I don't want to fight there. But at this point, while I'm being here in Miami, we're actually looking for something in the States.
So something like an LFA would make more sense than that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think that's a good choice because you also coming from the PFL Europe, so you also have to look in a certain um, organizations. You don't want to be on the local show. You want to see if you can put yourself a name out of here and
Yeah.
make your name more familiar in the US. So yeah, I think that's would something that would suit us. Yeah,
That sounds good. That I know they host a lot of cards in New York. They just did one last week over there. If that's the
yeah,
case, I'm dying to get out to an LFA card. So maybe if you fight on an LFA
yeah,
in New York, that'll be my first one too, because I need to get to one. They fight so many people that we had like
yeah,
local to me in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut,
yeah.
Massachusetts. Like they do ho a lot of the, not a lot, but some of the fighters that fight for LFA do come from this area. And then, of course, they have some amazing. I like how they mix it up with Brazil too. They bring in some of the best fighters from Brazil. They
Yeah.
fight them against some of the best in the US, stuff like
They
that.
do it such a good job because they have so many shows a year
Yeah.
that they shoot a lot of fighters and they keep them busy. They
Yep.
don't have to wait so long. So I think they're doing a really good job. And obviously, they are a big organization that is, if you're becoming a champ there, the UFC is going to take you over. So
Hmm.
that's also a thing that makes them very interesting. You know, almost every champion on the LFA signed a contract with the UFC. So I think they do a really good job.
I've always been impressed by them and their shows. They fight. You're so right. A lot of the people who end up champion over there make it to the UFC and stuff like that. They have a great rapport with the UFC. They maintain themselves on UFC Fight Pass, which is also hard to do these days. A lot of promotions find like trouble with Fight Pass because you have to put together amazing shows and cards, for Fight Pass to play them, and they consistently put out great product. But for you going forward, obviously we're winding down on 2024 here, but the grind never stops, of course. What do you believe the next couple months? How do you plan to finish up 2024? If you get a fight, I'm sure everything would change, right?
Yeah, so that's really something I'm hoping for, to be honest, because well, you feel for a while that you're ready now and you want to push your body um to that point where you can execute actually everything you've been trying. So that's something I'm really aiming to do, to have that fight, to have that date, work against that. But on the overall, I think it's very, like you said, it's very beautiful that you have this experience with all these great fighters, and that I complete myself every time more as an MMA fighter, being all round, being able to execute my judo, my striking, and mix it all together, wrestling. So, and that's something I still develop. You know, if you look at my previous fights, then one fight I'm a striker, the next fight I'm a judo player, and I think I come closer to the point where I will be able to combine everything and become super dangerous.
Yeah. Your judo's your go-to. That's what you were brought up with, but your striking has come along quite a bit. How,
Yeah.
how do you how does your confidence feel with your striking? I feel like there's probably, you can hang with Aline, you can give her great rounds and stuff like that. You do you feel like right now at this stage of your career you might be the most, all-around fighter, that you finally grasped that striking aspect to the game. You feel I personally, when I saw you in the gym, I just felt like you were an all-around fighter for sure. The striking was very impressive.
Yeah, I think I become more comfortable every time I fight. And I know that the comfort has to execute and come out at the moment that it's needed. And I'm saying this for a very long time to my team. But I think once I get that knockout or the knockdown, that's when you really get the trust in your hands, because I know I can do it, but sometimes I rely too much on the judo background. But I feel this experience, like being in the gym with Jermaine Durandamy, being in the gym with Aline, and see how I do against them, puts more comfort in, and I
Yeah.
will hope that shows off when I actually step in the cage and get that fight going.
Yeah, much respect to you because you're putting yourself in the situation to only get better in that aspect. That you're not just training with people who are jujitsu or not jujitsu, or even, yeah, jujitsu or judo
Yeah,
practitioners. You're training with the people who are good at the striking, and to get better, of course, it's very important to take yourself out of your comfort zone, and that
yeah.
seems to be what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's something that um that's a way of how I do, from the beginning of my career, when I made the decision to go from judo to MMA. I trained with the best. I trained with the best strikers. I was doing all these practices with them, and even now sometimes I tell them, like, how could you even train with me? I didn't know what to do, how to put the gloves on, and they, one by one, they tell me the same answer. They said the eager to learn and to put yourself out there without having the fear of failing, but just the eager to learn makes you like a very, very complete athlete. Although you don't have all the skills right away, the fact that you put yourself out there every time, and you are not afraid of failing, but you just want to learn and get better and become more complete, I think that's the magic of this game. It's so complex, all these elements you need to add. You need to wrestle, you need to judo, bjj, karate, kickboxing, boxing. All these elements make the game so complex, and you really have to love the element of learning and becoming better as an athlete in order to keep developing yourself.
Yeah. This is probably, yeah, the last question on the top of my mind for you. I'm excited for you to introduce yourself to the American scene, the American fans and stuff like that. And I know you are too. But I want to give the people that, yeah, a lot of the people who tune into my stuff are from America. So what can the American fans expect from you? Like how would you describe yourself as a fighter? We'll give them a little sneak peek of what to expect when you finally get that fight over here.
Well, I think what they can expect is that I'm always put myself into it for 120%. I am someone that actually try to take the soul of my opponent. I go in, I go hard. I want to do damage. I want to do significant throws. It's spectacular. It's people that have seen me, they can expect me to grow and become better every fight. But you can say one thing about me, and that's every fight is exciting to watch from the beginning till the end. I'm never boring. Never boring.
That's right. When I watched that PFL fight, that was one of the things that they said before the fight to expect like a fun fight from you. And then all throughout the fight, Dan Hardy talking about, impressiveness and stuff like that. And I had a fun time watching that fight because I like the way Dan Hardy calls fights and stuff like that. And yeah, that was a fun one to watch. Now, when you get the fight, this will be the last one. When you get that fight in America, after that, what are the plans? Like, where do you want to be by the end I don't like to put a timeline on things. Who knows what can come up, but like, what's the overall goal for you at this very moment?
Well, I'm 30 years old. So to be honest, I realized that we are female. We don't have an endless path of being an athlete. So for me, it's really important to get the most out of it. The last let's say last 10 years, so get the most out of that and see where I can reach. I don't want to. People always say, you have one goal, or you have this, or you have that. No, I am trying to become better every single day, and if I keep doing that, the sky is the limit. And that's for me something I do every morning when I wake up. I want to be better than yesterday. I want to become one of the most dangerous 125 flyweights in the world. I want to put my stamp on it. I want to show them that I'm an all-round fighter, and I will wake up every day to improve myself and to become one of those girls.
I like it. The amount you've come obviously since the judo background and transitioning to MMA, where obviously you have to have a good stand-up game and stuff like that. I think you're doing a great job. And obviously, like you said, 30 years old, you still have a lot of time ahead of you. And yeah, now's the time. But think about it, how good of a position you are in right now, the amount of great people that you've been surrounding yourself with.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. And I believe that, some things come around for a reason.
Hmm.
And that's part of it is because of my hard work and who I am as a person. And part of it is just the chances you get, but you have to take them. You
Hmm.
have to go for it, and that's what I did. I actually quit my daily job to fly out here. First Salt Lake City, now Miami. I take the risk, because I love what I do, and yeah, I'm very grateful.
Good for you, Lizzy. I'm happy for you. Now, did you quit the full-time job completely, or when you get back, you'll go back to the job?
I took 3 months off. I
Good for
talked with
you.
my boss. I talked with my boss. They were there when I was still an amateur. They knew my dream. They supported me all along. And yeah, well, lately we had a talk. What should I do? And well, they actually told me like, go follow your dreams. You're 30 years old, and you can work until you dead.
Hmm.
So and we cannot be a professional athlete until we're dead. So
Yeah.
you have to prioritize sometimes and sacrifice, and that's one of the sacrifices I took to come out here and to see where it's heading me.
That's amazing. That's literally kind of Lizzy, we're doing the same thing. You're doing it on the fighting end of things. I'm doing this on kind of like the media journalism side of things.
Yeah,
Karate
wow.
combat was a huge step in the right direction for me getting
Yeah,
rid of that full-time job. I know right now as a fighter, obviously you want to get rid of that full-time job. You want to be training all the time and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I hope that both of us can do it. I hope that I can get rid of my full-time job and, cover MMA, be a part of these shows. And I hope that you can quit your full-time job and be a
yeah.
fighter full-time.
It would be awesome that if we talk about or maybe we meet up in like 2 years and then we watch back like, oh yeah, when I was sitting in a room in Miami having this interview with you, and
Yeah.
then yeah, that would be awesome.
I hope we can do it. That's my goal. I'm sure that's one of your biggest goals right now too, is to finally become full time in this kind of field. And, I think we're both putting ourselves in the right position to do it. I